Hey Dave, how you doing?
Hanging in there.
It's good.
How are things over at City Hall?
It's a lot of trash talk about trash, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I think a lot of people don't realize is that the contract that we came up with that you pay for, that I pay for, we're Attleboro residents. If we had done something else, it would have been more money, and not for much more of a benefit. So, I don't think people realize what the alternatives were. But that's been the last 3 days, actually last 5 days, I think.
Can he hear us, or are we?
I just unmuted you.
Paul, my wife noticed that there's not, the barrel is fine. It's bigger than the one we have been using that was our own. But what she noticed is that she needs to take the bag out more often because of the narrowness of the barrel. And so we actually, so instead of emptying the trash 3 times a week, she does 4, or 4 times 5, whatever she does. You just can't have one of those gigantic bags.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've been telling people to do, is not to fill up their white plastic bags, the 13-gallon bags, to the max, because this is a 35-gallon barrel, and those white trash bags are 13 gallons. So if you factor in that you still have to tie it up the top, you should be able to get about 3 of those white plastic bags of 13 gallons in there, as long as you don't pack them to the capacity. So anyway.
Okay, so Jackie says that we should get the meeting started and stop talking trash.
Yeah, we should. Okay, so I'll turn it over to, let's call this meeting to order at 5:32, and I'll turn it over to Jeremy to do a roll call.
All right, welcome everybody. Roll call. David Sawyer.
Here.
Jason Parento.
Here.
Lori Reagan. Jackie Romanicki.
Here.
Gary Freecott.
Here.
Bill Rooney.
Here.
Terry DeSisto. Scott Dominicki.
Here.
Sorry that I messed that up. Ed Stanton.
Here.
Mark Furtado. Rob Geddes.
Here.
Steve Withers. Mike Tyler.
Here.
Andrew Acosta.
Here.
Gail Clark. Jack Jacoby.
Here.
Mayor Haru.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum.
Very good. Thank you, Jeremy. Next order of business is to approve the minutes from July 15th. Do we have any discussion about that before we do? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second. Thank you. And Jeremy, would you take a roll call?
David Sawyer.
Yes.
Jason Parento.
Yes.
Lori Reagan.
Oh.
Joined Jackie Romanicki.
Yes.
Jerry Freecott.
Yes.
Bill Rooney.
Yes.
Terry DeSisto joined. Scott Dominich.
Yes. Hold on, bud.
Ed Stanton.
Yes.
Mark Furtado. Rob Geddes.
Yes.
Steve Withers. Mike Tyler.
Yes.
Andrew Acosta.
Yes.
Gail Clark. Jack Jacoby.
Yes.
Paul Hero.
Yes.
All right.
Skip the people who aren't here the next time you do a roll call.
Cool. Next order of business is bills and payments. Now, I have my iPad open in front of me, but some of the numbers are blurred, so I can only see that it was Skanska, Castle Booze, and Consigli. I can't actually make out the invoice numbers, but it's for $4,171,863.48. Jeremy or Jack, could you identify what the invoices are and the dates and the actual itemized amounts? It doesn't come through on my iPad.
Yes, so we have a Skanska invoice dated August 7th for $108,435. We have a Castle Booze invoice dated July 30th for $109,085. And we have Consigli pay application 15 dated July 31st for $3,954,343.48.
Thank you. So the total was $4,171,863.48. Do we have any discussion about this? Any questions?
Those bills, the consigli bill has been approved by Skanska and Castle Booze, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I move to approve all three bills.
Second.
Good. Second. Very good. Jeremy, can you take a roll call, please?
David Sawyer,
Yes.
Jason Parento,
Yes.
Jackie Romanicki,
Yes.
Jerry Freacott,
Yes.
Bill Rooney,
Yes.
Scott Dominich,
Yes.
Ed Stanton,
Yes.
Rob Getty,
Yes.
Mike Tyler,
Yes.
Andrew Acosta,
He muted.
Andrew,
Sorry, yes.
Jack Jacoby,
Yes.
and Mayor.
Yes.
All right, motion passes.
Very good. So project updates, KBA. The floor is yours.
Craig, you want to step in?
Yeah, sure. Where we stand from our end of things, and the building is ongoing. We're working with the team of Skanska and Consigli to keep the process moving in a positive direction, which I believe we are. The biggest update would be is we have brick. The brick has been placed on the mock-up panel for viewing, and they reported to us today that the mock-up panel is anticipated to be complete in the next month, and so that we'll be able to get a better representation of all the materials together. Other than that, there is not much more to report from Castle Booze as a design update.
Very good. Any questions for anyone? For Castle Blues?
Do
Craig
you
or?
want to discuss the roof testing at all?
Now,
It's very exciting.
And it looks like Rob Geddes has a question too.
Yes, Craig, you mentioned the brick. I know we had to do an emergency vote because of the deficiencies in the previous brick. I had asked if I had asked to confirm that we weren't going to pay anything for the brick that had been delivered but could not be used. I know the vote had passed, but I don't remember if there was confirmation that we weren't paying for that old brick at all.
that's confirmed that there would be no cost for that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Rob, it was a very small amount that got delivered to the site. It was more just for sample purposes only. It wasn't a lot, but regardless, we're not getting charged for it.
I remembered it was only like a pallet or two,
Yeah.
but just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Thank you.
I have a question. I think last Wednesday morning when I was on the OAC meeting, it was said that the roof was about 80% complete. Where are we now with that?
So the main, and I'll might as well jump in to show you some pictures because they're much more exciting than me talking. But the main roof on the 4-story portion of the school is about 90% done. What they're doing now is pulling back and tightening up details around columns or penetrations through the roof. But the main field of the roof is pretty much complete. And we're going to have some testing on it over the next couple of weeks. But I'll show you on the picture here.
If you can tell me a little bit about that testing, that'd be great, because Attleboro has a history of a couple of bad roofs that have been leaking for 20 years, and I know a lot of people are concerned about the integrity of this roof. So I'm kind of curious to see what you guys do for testing. I mean, it's probably pretty straightforward, but if you can comment, that'd be great.
Sure. If you look at what's on the screen now, and hopefully everyone can see my screen.
No, it's not shared yet.
Okay, let me do that.
Nope. There we go.
Here it comes.
Okay. How about now?
It just says Steve Johnson has started screen sharing.
Yeah, but
There's
everything's
no image.
Yeah, blank screen.
All right.
Um,
There you go.
That's
That's
better.
it. There you go.
That's up. We got it? Okay.
Yep.
So everything, so everything that is white is the new roof. I know it's a little bit hard to see. So that's building C, building B, and building A. At the time of this picture, they were finishing up down pretty much in this end, the west end of the building. So that is just about complete. And then they'll come back and they'll tighten up around like, you know, columns like this and around the edges. And some of the interim testing that we're doing is there was a couple of spots on the roof, more so at the east end here, that just kind of felt a little soft to, I'll say the touch, but as you're walking on it, there's some soft spots. So what we want to do is make sure that there's not some adhesion issue, or there's maybe some little bit of insulation that's installed a little too far apart, or cover board or something like that. I don't feel as though we have a systemic issue, but there might be one or two spots here that the testing we're going to do is twofold. One is what's called a pull test, which means they put pressure onto a 5x5 section of the roof, and they try and pull it up and separate it to make sure that the glue is adhering. And then another test we're doing is simply we'll open up the roof in an area where we might be questioning if there's a crack or an issue there, and we'll physically just kind of cut a 1x1 square or so to take a look at it and make sure that there's no issues and that it's installed properly.
Steve, we've lost your audio.
Uh-oh. How about now?
Much better.
Okay. Yeah, there's some feedback coming in there. So I don't know.
To build on what Steve had just said, the design team, the entire team, Skanska, KBA, and Consigli, just want to make sure, because of your long history, and making sure that the roof is installed properly, not only just from the manufacturer requirements, but also in best practices, that we want to do our due diligence and make sure that this testing is done to confirm the quality of the installation of your roof for both the short and long term.
Sounds good. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Steve.
Yep.
And that testing is going to take place in about 2 weeks?
Yeah, August 26th. Yes. So then other progress, you can see the majority of the steel is in place, and a lot more decking is now in place. They're completing what we call deck and detail at this point, which means they're going in, tightening bolts, finishing welds. There's a lot of moment welds. They take a lot of time. There's some smaller steel.
Oh, we lost you again.
Yeah, no, I'm still here. I was just trying to see where the feedback was coming from. That's all. So if other people could mute, that'd be great.
Definitely feedback.
Yeah, I'm still getting a ton of noise. Can you guys hear me okay?
There's still a little bit, but yeah, we can hear you.
All right. Oh, all right. So again, a majority of the steel is done. It's smaller steel. It's finishing up decking, like in this area, and then this main roof area, they'll have to put the deck on there. We're looking at having the steel down to a minimal, if anything, crew by the end of August, which is right when we wanted it, right on schedule. Other major work is this exterior framing that you see here all along the south face. And then once the framing is on, they'll put this sheathing on. This kind of bluish purple here is sheathing, and that's going to wrap the building. And they're working in a counterclockwise direction. And then they've already started over here on the west side as well with the framing portion, and the sheathing will follow there as well. The spray fireproofing that predominantly takes place in B building, which is in the middle here, the first round of that has been completed. They'll come back, and they have some other areas in the building that they'll come back and hit, but that first major area is complete, which is a nice milestone to hit. And then I will try and pull up an interior photo of the 4th floor just to show the progress that's going on there, if I can. Fourth level. Once this loads, so on the 4th floor, again, of the main academic wing, we've started overhead mechanical rough. So it's ductwork, it's plumbing, it's sprinkler pipe, it's electrical. And then we've started interior framing. So you can really start to see the classrooms and the lab spaces, and even just the main corridor start to take shape, which is exciting. Pull this up. So again, this is a classroom on the 4th floor. So you see a lot of the framing is in place. We've got overhead. We've got ductwork going in. I'll try and grab another photo, but so this is the work that's going on in the C building, and they're going to work their way east to west towards B building and then into C building. And then on the other floors, coordination efforts continue mechanically so that they can start install of the mechanicals on those floors. We're not going to go down to 3. That's probably early September when we'll be on the 3rd floor. But that work continues and is on schedule. Again, this shot's a little older than the previous one, but it's starting to take shape on the inside now, which is good to see as well. And we'll continue to provide progress photos on the interior as we move forward, so that everyone who doesn't have the luxury of being out there on site can see the progress that's going on. And then I just wanted to show the work going on for the field. The field, we did have a delay in material delivery for the turf, the actual turf itself. Manufacturer got backed up and had some delays based on manpower availability due to some restrictions from COVID-19. So that material is due on site about the 24th of this month, but we are in good shape. We are complete with the prep that needs to take place before the turf is installed. We had testing and survey work completed recently that is under review by the design team. And if this pops up. So what you see is it's a big gray area right now, but that's all the stone that is in place. So the whole area and the entire 212,000 square feet is prepped and ready for the turf. We also have a lot of the fence posts in, and we've started prepping the perimeter to receive. In some areas, it gets some asphalt, so we're prepping that to start that work. And then once the turf goes down, we'll put the fence up and finish that up as well. And then lastly, I just wanted to, I do have a few pictures of the brick mock-up. I'll share that. If it loads. It's well worth the wait, though. Not sure why it's taking so long. I don't know if there are any questions about schedule while this loads.
Closed in at the end of October? Scheduled to have the building closed in at the end of October?
Yeah. So that's just the ABC building. So the academic, the 4-story academic portion of it will have fully framed and have that sheathing in place around it at that time. Yes, that's still on schedule. We're looking to start brick on the main building end of September, early October. And then we'll start, next major milestone after that would be drywall on the 4th floor in October. And of course the pictures aren't loading. Okay.
Steve, I took some today. I'm trying to pull them off my phone to share.
I think the good news, Steve, in the story about the schedule is that we are on schedule.
Yes.
With the project, we're where we expect to be. The materials, every once in a while, we might have a minor issue like we did with the turf, but overall, we haven't had any major obstacles that we haven't been able to address and maintain schedule. So we're still on schedule and within budget, which
Yes.
is something we look at daily and report on weekly in our project meetings.
Yeah, so hopefully you guys see the screen that this is one portion of the mock-up. So the two brick colors.
All we have is your listing of things. We don't have an actual picture of.
Eventually, if we keep doing this, I'll figure this technology out, Jack. If we keep doing this virtual.
Steve, I think it's just a slight lag between once it loads on your screen and then shows up for us.
Got it.
Beautiful.
See, that's exciting. So that was well worth the 10-minute wait, wasn't it?
Yeah. So this is the mock-up, Steve?
Yes, this is there's two the two faces of the mock-up. This is one face.
This would probably be a good time for Craig to talk about the different color bricks and how it will be on the front of the building.
Sure. What I'm going to do is pull up Emmett, I'm on the phone, buddy, okay? It's all right. The joys of being at home. I'm going to be pulling up a rendering and so I have something in comparison to that photo. So I'm going to share my screen, but for everybody's reference, the brick on the left is the light brick, that is the field brick, and the brick on the right is the accent color when I'm referring to it on the building. So can everybody see this rendering?
Yes, we can.
So when we're looking at the lighter color is everything you see in the field in this location around, and where the houses project out, that's where the darker brick will be, that you can see here and here. And that is how it is on the front of the building. And you can see with this picture, for instance, the two different color bricks. And the field brick is what extends into the building that you see here on these renderings. Again, the two colors where the house bumps out. I'm just scrolling through. And then on the back of the building, for instance, this is that lighter field brick that was selected to blend with the other schools on the site. And then the accent brick is two highlight elements. As you can see in this location, going through, and you can see again the lighter and the darker at night. The bay, you can see in the pictures you saw the stone base, and then they will be installing the metal panels within the next couple weeks, which will then be followed by the windows
on the mock.
On the mock-up, yes. Anything people want me to show, or I will stop sharing?
I think what it showed is that given the scale of the building and the length of the building, that by having parts of it stepped in and out and using the two different color bricks along with the third color for the stone and the fourth for the windows, that it really breaks up the building, so it's not like this big, huge wall, that it actually gives you some dimension and depth and shadows. And
exactly. So when we were doing it back in the design phase, we talked about how it's a very large, long building. And when you do that, you want to break it up vertically by establishing a rhythm. And so that's how we came up with a system of houses that then further break down even further from a solid to void of transparency, and then using the colors of the brick to highlight that as well. And because the front is so long and that extent, we use it as a big picture approach, and then works its way down to the finer details on the back of the building where you have the gymnasium and the auditorium. Those are more of a scalar element, and those naturally bring the scale of the building down. So we use them just as a highlight element in those locations.
so the brick mock-up was an opportunity to get an alternative brick that had a more a finish that was more consistent with what we were looking for, and was not a marred or scuffed finish through the process of fabricating the bricks. And so what we're looking for now is to have confirmation from the committee that they're satisfied with the match of the brick. We got a sample for the mock-up, but we would certainly appreciate an approval from this committee.
So I move that we confirm the vote that we took by email recently to approve the substitute brick for the project.
Second. All right, I'll take the roll call. A lot of you were muted, centrally, so make sure you unmute as we come back. David Sawyer,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Jerry, still there, Jerry?
Yeah, he's there.
Muted.
Jerry,
You calling Jerry?
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Yes, I approve.
no worries. Bill,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Mike,
I guess so.
Mike Tyler, Andrew,
Yes.
Jack,
yes.
and Mayor.
Yes.
Passes.
I guess we go back to Steve. Steve, you're muted.
Yes, I am. Seeking formal approval of change order number 1. So this is the first change order to the new GMP. It's 2 items that we had talked about last month that have been vetted by the design team in Skanska. First one is GCR 001, which was the 4th floor coordination where we adjusted some ceiling heights and added what's called some axiom trim for $1,966.48. The second, GCR 002, was roof edge soffit framing revisions, basically some architectural fixes to the exterior for $50,810.99. So combined, it's $52,777.47.
Good. Do we have any discussion about that? Any questions? No, hearing none. We have a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Jeremy, roll call.
David,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
and Mayor.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. Steve, we'll turn it back over to you.
Just the other changes that were sent out that are being tracked, nothing formally to submit just yet. The 4 new ones from last month, bus loop site wall revisions. So it's an architectural revisions to the wall, the bus loop that ultimately will be engraved. And I think the intent is donations, and those that donate will be engraved on there at a later date. So that is out for pricing right now. GCR number 4, rooftop unit airflow measuring stations, is a discrepancy in a subcontractor's mind about devices that are supposed to be within the rooftop units that they feel weren't available at the time of purchase. But we're vetting that out with the design team. The design team's finding some different information. So again, nothing definite there. It's a $27,877 issue that we think is going to go away, but nothing finalized just yet. Item 5, relieving angle depth revisions. A couple locations where the original relieving angle, based on the final design of the exterior wall, needs to increase about 1 or 2 inches. So that is out for pricing right now, as well as the 6th item, which is miscellaneous steel revisions at the elevator. There's some elevator at the top, there's some steel at the top of the elevator shaft that needs to be relocated because it interferes with the actual elevator. So that's out for formal pricing as well. And we had one new construction contingency item that added to the list, and it was just premium time for the roofing contractor We had them work a couple of Saturdays recently because the weather was nice. We wanted to take advantage of it. So it's just the premium time cost for those 2 days. That, nothing else. No other costs.
Well, thank you. I think it is, any comments, concerns, questions about that, anyone?
Just a comment, Mayor, if I could.
Yeah, of course, Mike, go ahead.
So, yeah, I just want to give a kind of a shout out to Dave Gorman, the superintendent for Consigli. I mean, I reached out to him quite a few times since this project started. Stuff that may have to do with public works and collaboration with this project. And Dave's just a really responsive guy. He's a really professional. I always appreciate our talks. So just a shout out to him. He's a really good guy to work with, very responsive, and it's very appreciated from my department.
Thank you, Mike. I'll pass that along to him.
Thanks, Steve.
Anything else, folks? No. The brick change vote. Now we addressed the email.
We did that, Paul.
Yeah, we just took that vote.
Okay, right. Did we have any conversation about that or anything? Did we? Just wasn't sure if there was anything further anybody wanted to comment. I was happy with it. No? Okay. So, did we have any new business?
I do. This is Ann Jeanette. I have just an update. We have submitted to the MSBA the information required to amend the project funding agreement. After the GMP was executed, we received a 30-day notification from the MSBA, and we were asked to provide them with a number of documents related specifically to the budget. We had to, I had been providing updates on the budget summary worksheet to the group monthly as we were procure the packages. And what we did is we actually took that document and we put it into a schedule of values, and the MSBA will use that to populate the amended project funding agreement. There was another, I can actually, if you want me to share my screen with you, I can just kind of give you guys an idea of what we sent over, because it relates to ultimately, they will be repopulating the worksheet that we had submitted previously, and they'll be determining what the overall contribution by the MSBA will be for the project. And there's several factors that come into play here. So give me 1 second. I'll see if I can share my screen with you guys.
While she's doing that, our next meeting will be September 9th, and the October meeting will be the 14th. So if everybody want to mark their schedules, I hate to think of the summer being over, but it is what it is.
Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So in February of 2018, Marianne had put together this project funding agreement. And this is actually the format that the MSBA uses to figure out what the, the district's share of the project is going to be. So these values that were originally carried were just estimates. Since that time, we've had a 60% estimate and we've had a 90% estimate. And then of course we have the GMP, which is the final, all of the final values. So when we received the 30-day notification from the MSBA, they had asked us for a number of documents, which this is exactly what we had to provide to them. This was the request form that they had asked us. So one of the things that they needed confirmation was that there was no new scope of work added. We didn't add any scope of work to the original project. However, there were some changes made specifically to the Capron Fields. Originally, it was in a schematic design. It was going to be used for parking, and then it was going to be redeveloped as an athletic field. We were able to use the park, Highland parking, to accommodate the student parking and contractor parking. So that shifted to that area there. And then the athletic field was actually taken out of the project and moved over to the western fields. And actually, Joe from KBA helped us to write up this narrative, and that it just sort of explains how the scope of work just sort of developed over, from feasibility to actual GMP. And this is something that we can share with the group as well. This is the actual schedule of values, and these values here are the, it's all broken down by cost code, and I think I had previously discussed this. All of these numbers here will populate this worksheet for the MSBA. Some of the things specifically that they asked us to break out were related to items that are categorically ineligible. Asbestos, vinyl asbestos tile is one of them. So I have a value right here for $640,000. They asked to break out some of the soft costs that the PM is carrying. We broke out in the highlighted yellow here. That's specifically related to communications, the electrical scope of work. And then one of the items that we did break out was the earthwork related to the building, anything under the building. We broke it out because the MSBA has a cap on reimbursement for site work to 8% of the cost of the building. So pulling those costs out actually reduces the overall site value. So that's to our advantage as well. And then down the pink, down in the pink, those are all the values specific to the Western fields. Those were actually part of the project bid savings, and they're categorically ineligible for reimbursement from the MSBA. I will circle back to that as we get farther down in the list of documents. This is the cost comparison, and this we had to submit to them, and this shows the MSBA where we were at 60%, 90%, and then where we came in the final budget. I also, at the bottom, included for their reference just the buyout savings with the same values that we had seen in the previous sheet there. Again, this next sheet is just showing them that we broke out the vinyl asbestos tile demo and abatement, which came from the subcontractor's schedule of values. And then they also wanted to have confirmation if there were any underground storage tanks that needed to be removed. FSC, which was one of KBA's consultants early on, had provided a report, which is right here. And it was found that any tanks that were previously in the building had been adequately taken care of, and that it wouldn't have any impact on our project. So we just were offering that that information to the MSBA as requested. This document here is certification from the from Cynthia Amara, the city solicitor, in that they were using the bid savings, that they were authorized to use the bid savings, which we used for the Western fields. And then, the last document here is just one of the things we had to send to them also was the final plans and specifications. So that's what they requested from us. And then being at this part of the project with the project funding agreement, the next step is to have Kevin Sullivan, who's our project manager from the MSBA. He's going to insert all of these values that we've provided to him into, this is the schedule of values, and he's going to update this total project budget again. And then all of these little calculations over on the side here will ultimately give us a better idea of what the final district contribution is going to be. There are a lot of factors. It's all part of Module 7. There are categorically ineligible items that will be considered. We're waiting right now. That process is going to start on Monday. I spoke with Kevin last Friday, and we'll be working, Marianne and I will be working with him exclusively to, any clarification required, any additional information. And then the process will probably take, anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks to get an updated final project funding agreement. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I don't know, Marianne, if you wanted to add anything to that.
Yeah, I would just say that up until the time of bidding the project, we were putting together estimates, responding and reacting to drawings available, and then also incorporating value engineering ideas so that we continue to remain within the budget. And so essentially what this next step is that now that we have actual bids from the market telling us what the cost of the work is, the MSBA conducts an internal audit, and then they revise the project funding agreement with the bid amendment. And because numbers categorically go up and down throughout the project, so some things we maybe had more money than it actually cost, and others we might have been less, but overall within the budget. So what happens here is the MSBA does their audit and they make a determination. There was one thing I did want to point out, is that the 8% site cap, meaning whatever the value of the building is, the MSBA will say 8% of the value of the building is the cap. That's where we end our participation with reimbursement for the site. So we went through a process with Consigli and also input from the design team, where we said, well, technically underground utilities are within the footprint of the building, and that should be counted as a building cost and not a site cost, so that the higher the value of the building is, the higher that 8% is for reimbursement. So so there was a lot of work in trying to pull this together, answer their question, and then this is a standard practice of the MSBA, that they will finalize their internal audit. They go through 4 levels of approval because it is a state agency, and we will get the final project funding agreement from them based on actual bids.
And I just like to add too that the values that we've presented to the MSBA, those are inclusive of everything up to the GMP. The 2 change orders that Steve just presented to the group for approval, those are outside of this. So those will actually be change orders outside of this budget.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's a different conversation. I don't really want to get into that because it's a little more complicated, but we submit quarterly on the change orders, and when we get to that point, I'll do my best to explain it a little better. But for the purposes of the conversation tonight, I just wanted to share with the team, the group, what we've been up to and where we're at with the MSBA. And I will say that Mike was made a point of complimenting Dave, and I will, as I did today in the meeting, I'm very, very happy and pleased to be working with Consigli. All of this information, it took about 2 weeks to put everything together, and it would have taken twice that long were it not for Consigli's team and KBA as well. So I feel very fortunate, and I feel that it's something worth noting. So that being said, that's all I have. I don't know if anybody has any questions as it relates to the project funding agreement or moving forward.
Anjanette, I'm wondering if you could email that material to Jeremy and he could post it at the appropriate portion of the high school website so that those who want to, read it and pay more attention to it could be able to do that at their convenience?
Absolutely. No, not a problem at all.
Okay.
Thank you. Do we have any other business to go over? Anyone at all? Hearing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
No move.
So
Second.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, take the roll call. Dave,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Scott,
Muted.
Scott, you're muted. All right, well, I think we'll still pass. Ed,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
and Mayor.
Yes,
All right, motion passes
6:21.
6:21.
All right, thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Good night,
Good night.
everyone.
Night.
All right.